Researchers from the Barcelona Supercomputing Center and the European Central Bank are tracing price jumps, including an 80% spike in the cost of U.S. vegetables, to extreme weather linked to climate change. The study's authors say unprecedented conditions are set to become increasingly and worrisomely common around the world and could strain the amount of land available for crop production that is needed to feed nearly 10 billion people globally by the year 2050. Joining us now is New York Times bestselling author Michael Grunwald. His new book is titled "We're Eating the Earth: The Race to Fix Our Food System and Save Our Climate." In it, he argues the climate problem has been made worse by embracing solutions that sound sustainable, but could actually make it harder to grow more food with less land. Michael, thank you so much for joining us. You're an accomplished reporter and author. Talk to us about this subject, why you tackled it, and tell us what you mean. Things that we would think on the surface seem sustainable, but actually could be doing as much harm as good.
Well, I got into this because I was an energy and climate reporter, and I realized that food was about a third of the climate problem. It's maybe 3% of climate finance, and it's like 0.3% of climate conversation. So it's, the problem is essentially that agriculture is eating the earth, right? We all talk about urban sprawl. That's like 1 of every 100 acres of the planet are either cities or suburbs, but 2 of every 5 acres of the planet are now fields or pastures. And we're losing a soccer field worth of tropical forest every 6 seconds. So really, we're gonna have to make more food to feed the planet, about 50% more food by 2050, and we can't keep using more land. So that means we're gonna need these kind of high yield approaches to agriculture that a lot of people don't like.
So Michael, hi, it's Molly Jungfest. What are these high yield approaches to agriculture? I mean, what does that look like? How do you do it?
Well, look, I think a lot of people don't like factory farms and industrial agriculture, and I get it, right? They treat animals badly, they treat people badly, their politics are terrible, right? They're usually fighting against environmental regulation and climate action, use too many antibiotics. But one thing that factories are really good at is making a lot of stuff cheap. And we are going to need to make a lot of food. This is going to be the real challenge for agriculture. We're going to have to make more food over the next 30 years than we've made over the last 12,000. So again, there's a lot that can be learned from these kind of regenerative practices that treat the soil better, and the animals have names instead of numbers. And we should absolutely insist on making industrial agriculture essentially make less of a mess. But to the extent that the kind of kinder, gentler, more natural agriculture makes less food, it's going to use more land, and that's not acceptable either.
Michael, the politics of this is challenging in the sense that if we need more factories, and whether there's going to be environmental concerns, what neighbors are they going to be put in, all of I can think of a plethora of issues that will come up. So isn't it really the task, and your book, I think, begins this, of really convincing the national community as well as the world community that we need more food, that you've got to settle the food issue and set that in people's mind so the politics of it doesn't get in the way?
You're absolutely right, Reverend Howell. This is this has been a real problem, and particularly for Democrats, right? There's been this kind of bipartisan festival of agreement that we should just be showering big ag with, incredible subsidies that, most of it is going to pretty well-off farmers. And that used to make sense for Democrats, at least, right? Because there were a lot of rural Democrats. And there was also this kind of, this alliance where even urban Democrats, if they weren't crazy about farm subsidies, they knew that in these farm bills, food stamps would be fully funded. And that was very important to them. But this last big, beautiful bill, it broke the deal, right? They jacked up the subsidies for these rich farmers, and they slashed the handouts for food stamps. So now really Democrats are getting nothing out of it. So I think this is a time for Democrats to seize this kind of new approach to food and agriculture, where if we're going to keep throwing money at at farm country, and keep saying all the stuff about how these are the heartland and these are the people with great values, that's fine, but there really has to be some strings attached, where we're going to help you make even more food, but you've got to make less of a mess.
The important new book, We Are Eating the Earth, The Race to Fix Our Food System and Save Our Climate, is available now. Author Michael Grunwald, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Still ahead here on Morning